uses the arts to promote wellbeing. But I'm also working with Nicola at the Norwich University of the Arts as an associate research fellow, and I'm an artist and lots of things. And I do creative evaluation and lots of just freelance creative projects and commissions as well.
Do you want to pass on to someone, Holly?
Yeah, can I pass on to Jane?
Hi, I'm Jane Southgate. I'm an artist based in Suffolk. I've been an artist for, I don't know, 20 odd years. But I've worked in schools quite a lot of that time as an art technician and doing workshops and private teaching. I recently gave all of that up last year to go into full-time practice by myself. And in a lot of that time, and definitely a bit beforehand, I was running workshops through Suffolk County Council, through the libraries, actually, through the Menopause and Me or Empowered groups, working with menopausal women, doing creative workshops to express themselves and to just have a sense of relief through doing something creative. And I've also begun doing a bit more work in some festivals to do with wellness. So I'm just really in my beginning of my journey with art and health practice. I will pass on to, I can't see the names, I'm sorry. Can somebody, Claire, can you pick a name?
Sure. I'm going to pass on to Alex.
Morning, everyone. I'm Alex Casey. I'm director at Suffolk Artlink. I believe it's over 20 years since I've been working in creative health, although it's definitely not always been called that in those 20 years. Various movements, but it definitely feels like the current title has some good momentum behind it. And I shall pass to Sophie O'Connor, in case there's more than one Sophie on the call.
Morning. Hi everyone. I'm Sophie. I'm a creative health and communities producer for Dance East. I guess I've been working in creative health for about 10 years or more, but as Alex said, I wouldn't have thought of it as creative health or known that it was creative health probably at the beginning, sort of starting out working in the arts, but I started working in arts development in a local authority and then moved on to community engagement as a manager at a big theatre, commercial theatre, before moving to Dance East in 2019 as the producer here. And really, when I think about it, I've always worked in creative health in all of those roles without really realising it. But in the last 18 months, my role here at Dance East changed to the creative health and communities producer, to really have that focus on the creative health work that we do. And that's been really nice, actually, to finally have a way to really acknowledge what that work is. And it's great to be here. I will pass on to Faye.
Hello, I'm Faye and I work for First Light Festival and the Battery of Ideas project in Lowestoft. I am the production and projects coordinator, I didn't say that bit. And I've been working in creative health. My first job out of art school was at Britton Pears Arts in the community team. So I've sort of been working in community arts across Suffolk since then. I don't know how many years that is. But yes, that's me. I'll pass on to Charlotte Hartley.
Hello, I'm Charlotte Hartley. I am the regional producer for the East of England for Orchestras Live. I have been working around creative health, kind of informed practice for around 7 or 8 years now. But since moving to this organisation about 6 months ago, so quite recently, I'm now creative health strategic lead. So short but also long engagement with creative health. I will pass on to Nicola.
Hello, I'm Nicola Simpson and I'm a research fellow at Norwich University of the Arts. I've been working in creative health for about 5 years, and I have a background really as an art historian and academic researcher.
Who would you like to pass on to, Nicola?
Yeah, sorry, I'm also going to look for my microphone, headphones, and got the wrong ones in. I'm going to pass on to Jo Adele because I've been doing projects with her recently.
Morning. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jo Adele. I'm a research fellow at the University of East Anglia, based within the niche research team. I'm a nurse by background, but I'm interested in all things creative and how we can use creativity, particularly with nursing teams, to help them explore and understand what's going on, both with their own well-being, but with how they develop innovation and ideas. So pleased to be here, and I will pass on to Romeo.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Romeo. I'm the leader of Ipswich Romanian community, one of the local artists as well. I delivered and I lead different creativity workshops for different local schools on the behalf of the Ipswich Romanian community and as an artist as well. And also I'm one of the research artists as well. So in other words, I could convert any kind of research topic into creative art and to deliver such sessions for different groups. Thank you. I will pass over to Lee. Lee. Thank you.
It's Leah, but that's okay. Hiya, I'm Leah Schiller and I work for Creative Arts East. We're based in Norfolk. I'm the projects manager. I've been working in creative health for about 10 years, specifically for older people living with dementia and carers. Yeah, that's me. I will pass on to Anoop.
Oh, thank you for that. Can everyone hear me okay? Because I'm not sure with these headphones. Great. So I'm Anoop Singh. So I'm here from Community Action Suffolk. I'm a community development officer, and I wouldn't say I currently have a real track record in creative health. I have a background in community engagement, and I'm also a creative myself. So I'm a writer and sort of developing filmmaker and theatre maker. So there are elements of that have definitely overlapped. But yeah, really interested to hear more today, and yeah, great to be here. Thank you.
Who would you like to pass on to, Anoop?
I'll say Robert Mackey, if he hasn't already been. Let's see him on the screen.
Almost got it. Robert Mackay. Thank you, Anoop. So yeah, I'm Robert Mackay. I'm new to Suffolk region. I moved there about a year ago, although I'm currently in Lithuania doing some teaching. And I come from a learning and development background for over 10 years, but also creativity, performance, and ideation. And I'm kind of joining this because the health side of things is something new to me. So I'm hoping to kind of network with people and learn more about the application of artistry to health. And I can pass on to Eleanor.
Hello, Robert. Lithuania sounds exciting. Hi, everyone. My name is Eleanor, and I work in the Creative Communities team at Suffolk Community Libraries. I think my role is more tangentially related to creative health. So I've done quite a lot of work running cultural events in job centres and supporting people who maybe don't find it, who have experienced barriers to accessing culture on an equitable term. So that's my background, and I am going to pass to Daisy. Hi, Daisy. It's nice to see
you. Oops. Oh, I'm not muted, am I? Hi, how are you? I came late to the meeting, so first of all, I want to apologise for that. But I'm working with, I work with multiple artists. I work with about 30 artists, musicians, dancers, storytellers, mostly from the Global South, who are living in the UK and promoting heritage arts, cultural art forms. So we've got drummers and Kathak dancers and Chinese dancers, traditional and contemporary mostly. And I also work, my freelance role with Essex Cultural Diversity Project is about encouraging artists in Suffolk and Norfolk and Essex to apply for public funding to create community art projects. And I have 20 years of producing community art projects with artists and communities, and many of those projects have been on the edge of creative health. There've been lots of people who have joined the projects have had disabilities or long-term health issues, and it's also, like Ellie, it's all about access, increasing access to arts activities for people who are not so likely to attend the theatre or go to galleries on a regular basis. So I also I was director of Art Eat, and took a leading role in developing all the murals on the waterfront, and many of those have been co-created and co-designed with people with health needs. So yeah, I'll pass on to Nicola if you haven't spoken already, Nicola.
I have spoken actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
how about
so
Joanne?
Joe's gone as well. I think we've got Laura, Nicholas, Helen.
I'll go for
and
Laura. I'll go for
Go on.
Laura.
Hi, I'm Laura Cole-Matthews. I'm the Art Support Officer at Norfolk County Council. I've been in the art service for the last 15 years, and we have a remit across all arts development in Norfolk, but obviously that includes creative health. And one of the main things that we do is coordinate Norfolk Creativity and Wellbeing Week as part of the national celebrations each year in May. And obviously when we have a small project fund, which also supports a lot of more local on the ground workshop and arts development with communities, particularly in creative health. And I'll pass to Nicholas.
Hi, morning everyone. I'm Nick Grant. I'm the Associate Dean of Engagement and Innovation at UEA in Arts and Humanities. I don't have a creative health background, but I've been involved in leading the bid with the University of the Arts, prospective bid around the HRC Creative Clusters funding call, which is about creative industries growth in the region, and hopefully and almost definitely, well, definitely there'll be a creative health and a health innovation strand or multiple strands to that bid as well. So that's why I'm here, and also to try and represent colleagues in arts and humanities at UEA. And I'm at a slight loss as to who is left. Helen, I don't think you've spoken.
Oh, hi everybody, I'm Helen Shern. So I think probably I've been in the creative health sector for probably about 30 years, if I'm including my occupational therapy and mental health work, where I used a lot of arts in mental health. So currently I'm a freelance, self-employed on creative health consultant and evaluator, currently working with a team on a strategic review for sustainability of the Restoration Trust, which is based in Norfolk, a heritage and mental health charity. I'm also working across other parts of the UK. I'm based in London. So, and then before all of that, I was an art and design teacher. So, yeah, I think that's kind of essentially it. Yeah, so yeah, I'll pass on to Catherine Gray. Have you spoken yet?
Hello, no, I haven't yet. I was thinking it's like PE and I was going to be picked last, but it's nice to be picked, thank you. So I'm Catherine, I'm an occupational therapist and CEO of Capacity Wellness and Therapy Services, so nice to be picked by an OT as well. Thank you, Helen. So we, as occupational therapists, obviously everything we do is activity-based. There's lots of health-based and creative activities that we do. We have a woodland where we do bushcraft and creative youth work sessions. We work with 7 to 25-year-olds and are based in Norfolk, in Wymondham in particular, but cover most of Norfolk. So I've worked in health and creative health for around 15 years now. And I can't remember also who else hasn't been picked. So if you could give a wave, that would be lovely. Ah, Laura. Nope, not Laura. I saw a hand go up. Tarana.
Hello, thank you. My name's Taroneh Jahanpour. I live in the Great Yarmouth area. I'm an independent community artist. I've worked in community development in Great Yarmouth and as a community participation manager for Out There Arts on and off for 10 years. So I've been involved in lots of different kinds of projects involving the community, but not so much in the art, in directly with health. But I would like to get, I'd like to learn from you all today to see what and how I can get involved and do work.
Thank you. I think we've got one. I think Leanne Goodrum has just joined us. So Leanne, do you want to introduce yourself? Basically your name, your role, and how long you've been working in creative health for?
Hi there, yes, so I'm Leanne Goodrum. I work at Norfolk County Council as the Arts Business Support Officer, so I don't directly work within creative health, but I help support the team. Laura's on the call as well, and we obviously help administrate Norfolk Creativity and Wellbeing Week, which is an annual national festival. We also support projects with the Arts Project Fund, who come to us for funding. So yeah, sort of indirectly. I also help support the Norfolk Suffolk Culture Board as well. We administrate the work that they do. So yeah, just here listening in really to the work that's going on.
You're muted, Claire.
Yeah, of course I am. Of course I am. Yeah, I think that's everybody. Thank you, everyone, for that. It was really great to kind of get the breadth and depth of people that are in the room. And yeah, and hopefully we'll add lots of value to today's discussion. So to kind of talk about what we're going to do next. So what we're going to do now is we are going to begin our action learning set, and we are just going to share my screen with you all. Bear with me. Okay, can everybody see my screen? Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so some guidance for action learning then. So we're going to split into two groups, two breakout rooms. And whilst we're in those breakout rooms, what the advice for the action learning is to speak an equal amount of time as the others. So if once you've kind of said what you need to say, allow space for other people to join in the conversation. As I said before, we're going to practice active listening, which is where we listen attentively and we don't try to interrupt. We attempt to see things from everyone's point of view. We ask good questions, which encourage thought and exploration. So these tend to be open questions rather than questions with a yes or no answer. And we respect and value everyone's capacity to make their own decisions. We don't interrupt. We also, hold on, bear with. We also don't impose our own values, views, opinions, or advice. We don't be judgmental about what the person might be bringing into the conversation. We don't criticise, negate, or trivialise what the person might be working through. And we assume that their situation is similar to ones that you have also experienced. So what this style of structured process does is it's going to allow us to work on a real challenge, whilst also hopefully developing our skills and knowledge about those challenges. It combines hands-on experience with reflective learning to foster innovative solutions. And what we will do as well is this won't end today, but I'll explain a bit more about that once we've actually done the task, because I don't want to get too far ahead. So what we're next going to do is I'm going to put you into 2 breakout rooms, and we're going to do some time travel. So what I want us to do is to imagine that we have stepped forward into 2035. The 10-year vision has been successful, and we have a thriving creative health sector across Norfolk and Suffolk. Now, the first group, the question that you're going to imagine is, what skills-based training have you undertaken over the last 10 years as a creative health practitioner? So really, I want you to delve into kind of what you would have liked to be in place over the next 10 years, so that in 2035 you can say, I've done this, 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 and this in terms of skills-based training. And then the second group, you're also going to jump in the time machine and move forward to 2035. And what you're going to imagine is that you are at a careers event promoting pathways to school children who are considering their options. So they're about 14. And you are going to be promoting creative health career pathways that have been developed over the last 10 years. So 2 kind of meaty questions there for us to get our heads into. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to put you into some breakout rooms, and I'm just going to make sure, hang on, they're just creating the rooms. I'm just going to make sure that I've got a good selection. So how many people have we got on the call? 20. And then I'm having to do this manually so that I can make sure that Alex, who's going to be leading the conversation, is in one of the rooms. So bear with. So you should all now see some rooms, and I will, and then we'll meet back here. We've got 20 minutes, so we'll meet back here at 10:55, but I will give you a timer to let you know to come back. So see you all in a little while. Apologies to my group too, that I wasn't able to come and join you in the room and facilitate the conversation. I had a tech issue where one of the participants couldn't be assigned into a room. I didn't think it was very fair to leave them sitting out here in the main room all by themselves. So apologies, and I hope you can understand why I didn't join you. Hopefully we had a note taker in each room that was taking notes on what was being discussed. And I invite us now to feed back into the room, and whilst we're doing that, I think that it would be good to reflect on what's been said. So whilst the rest of us are listening, what I want you to consider is, when the first group is feeding back on the skills-based training, I want you to consider what options you like. And if you weren't part of that discussion, then maybe you have some more ideas for training that don't get brought up in the first feedback group. So just reflect on that as we're hearing back from group 1. So who was in group 1? I know, Alex, you chaired that. So have you got a spokesperson?
And I didn't ask a note taker. So apologies, group. I was supposed to do that. You've got me feeding back. But I did take notes, and I'm very happy to feed back. So sorry that it's my voice that you're hearing, not someone else's. But if I miss anything, perhaps other members of my group can jump in. So I'm going to run through these in the order they came up. That doesn't necessarily mean that they were the most important order, but that's how we went through the discussion. So the first thing that we talked about was the need to kind of understand more how creative methods for evaluation could be more embedded across the sector, thinking about the breadth of a broad approach to explaining and evidencing impacts, thinking about participation and co-creation, and kind of not only in those, I think I'm capturing this right, not only training around how you might use those creative methods, but also to kind of advocacy for how they are effective and therefore becoming kind of common knowledge across the sector. Another area that we talked about was kind of knowledge and understanding of health systems and the challenges of navigating those systems that are faced by both the carers working within them, but also the users of those care systems. It's a complex system. We paid internships and practical skills development, apprenticeships in the arts. That was also came up as a way of developing skills. This was an interesting starting point that led us onto a quite big discussion. There was a lot of consensus around. So thinking about training and development, not just for sort of creative health professionals, but the wider cultural sector, really to look at then supporting pathways and progression opportunities from one project to another, or from one organisation to another, from an individual trying something at home to joining a group, to really think about that connectivity between opportunities for people. We really recognise there's quite a challenge about short-term discrete projects that might, and the kind of question mark over whether that's of benefit. You know, you can see the benefit at the time, but then you've got to step away, the funding ends. How do you support the legacy? Really thinking about how we might develop more connections across the sector, kind of joined up approaches, and thinking, and that kind of led into a conversation around how joint working between creative practitioners and health staff, so that it's a kind of a joint approach. It's not the health is done in one place and the creativity is done somewhere else, and that there's a kind of equity of value across both of those approaches. A recognition, we thought, you know, kind of joint training might be a way of addressing some of that, bringing both kind of skills into the room, really. Thinking that training could actually embody creative methods itself. So again, you're not sort of doing this dry clinical training and then expected to kind of deliver creative impacts, so that actually the training, the development opportunities that we will have experienced in 2035 will have had that kind of creative methods embedded in the delivery. There was a point around specific training around kind of different health conditions, recognizing that certain aspects will need certain skills and knowledge in order to support participants effectively. And lastly, from our list, please do add anything else, anyone, is around the kind of emotional support for people delivering this work, how we might develop skills across the sector for both the people delivering it and the organisations supporting those people, to deal with trauma, you know, any trauma that comes up in sessions or difficult situations, or some of the emotional impact of working in challenging circumstances. Anything I missed, do jump in, my group.
Thanks, Alex. It sounds like it was a very rich and varied discussion. I obviously stayed with Holly because Holly was unable to join a room, and we had a really good discussion about skills and training as well. And one of the things that we kind of said as a baseline is that a lot of basic training, such as health and safety, first aid and safeguarding, isn't kind of undertaken by the sector, particularly for those who come in from a freelance perspective, and perhaps just starting off with some essentials would be beneficial. We also talked about communication and about how active listening skills are really important in this work, alongside non-violent communication and how to respond in situations where you can see maybe people are getting triggered, and how to diffuse those situations. So that was another area that we felt could be of value to the sector, alongside things that you've already mentioned, Alex. So that was just kind of two, I suppose, areas that we were discussing as well. Has anybody else got anything they want to add to that conversation before I invite group 2 to feedback? If you have, just pop your hand up. Anoop?
Thank you. Something I think I'd forgotten to add into that conversation when I'd raised my hand as well in it was about the importance of like things like unconscious bias training still being quite important in terms of in terms of that connection between practitioners and beneficiaries and not leaving room for those assumptions around context that people are approaching things from, and I still think that would be an important element of kind of having a clear communication pathway between beneficiaries and practitioners.
So Anoop, can you tell me what the first thing was that you said? You called it something. What training did you call it? Sorry.
Unconscious bias training.
Unconscious bias. Thank you.
Yeah, so it was quite a big thing going back a few years ago, but I sort of feel like it's sort of almost fallen off in a lot of conversations around, in terms of equality and diversity, and keeping that strong in terms of that ability to just be kind of address and approach those unconscious biases that all people have. So
lovely, thank you. That's a really good point, Anoop. Anyone else want to feedback on question 1 before we move to group 2? Nope. Okay, so Daisy, yep. Daisy, you're on mute.
Thanks for seeing me. I was just saying something about short-term interventions and stop-start funding before we ran out of time. But what I was leading on to was the sort of financial responsibility for paying for arts activities within the health sector, and wondering, and just kind of just in my experience, we've been applying for the grants and we've been paying for partnerships. Basically, I've been offering payment for partnership for mental health charities and organizations, and even quite established charities who I think probably have a lot more sort of income diversity of income streams than we do. The Arts Council is basically paying for creative health within the health sector so that artists can be paid, but often artists are also paying for those partnerships to happen, and as a hook for to cover admin time or expenses, to gain attention. We're offering money, and I wonder if that's actually, in the long term, I don't think that's sustainable unless the Arts Council has money from the health sector. The arts sector, I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think it's sustainable for the arts sector to support the health sector.
Yeah, I agree, Daisy, and I think that's one of the things that this place-based partnership application that we're working on is looking at, is in terms of that kind of match level funding, where the money that's coming through the Arts Council is for delivery to arts and cultural creative practitioners, and then it's matched by healthcare who do the same thing for their healthcare staff, but there is a skills kind of swap where we're able to, one sector is able to train the other sector, and so on and so forth. So that's definitely something we're looking at, and I think it's a really valid point. I'm also aware of time, so I'm going to move us on to group 2. Did anybody from group 2, was anyone from group 2 the note taker? And if so, can they raise their hand and feed back to the group? Sophie, I can see you waving your hand.
So we got underway with discussion, and then you popped a note saying, can someone take notes, about halfway through, so I suddenly started to scribble. So we had a quick check-in at the end where I said I'm happy to feedback, but if I've missed anything, then as I'm sure you will, kind of anyone else can chip in. So we started the conversation about thinking about the possibility of 2 things really. The firstly being that creative health is there are modules that become embedded into lots of different career pathways. So if we think now about all of the different careers we have that are already crossing over with creative health, that all of those career pathways are still there, but within them there are creative health modules, so that it's much clearer what that work is and the impact of that work, and those career pathways kind of become clearer as you're studying. So you're still studying, you know, to become an artist or a health worker or a nurse or whatever it might be, but creative health is really clear within that. So that's kind of one avenue we talked about, and then the other was thinking about more specific career, studying pathways that are specific to creative health. So perhaps at this point in 10 years, there are very specific roles established within creative health, so that creative health can be studied at degree level, or you know, at first perhaps as an MA, but yeah, to have for it to be a degree would be brilliant. But you know, for that there would need to be some really clear roles. So then we kind of went on to that discussion about careers that exist, so that there's a range of jobs that are really visible, that feel really secure as career pathways, so that you know kind of what you can go into, and that there's a great range of advocates out there who can be there to talk to young people about their career choices, career pathways, and their work in creative health, and even potentially mentor, you know, offer opportunities to mentor young people around creative health. So we talked a bit about that. We talked about kind of top down, so health leaders and policymakers at this point being really clear on how vital creative health work is within the arts and within health, so that they have that really clear understanding, and that investment comes from them as well in terms of careers and kind of study pathways. What else did I write? And just, yeah, across the board, a really clear understanding of what high quality creative health practice looks like, lots of evidence for that. And again, that comes into kind of how it sits in modules and how it's talked about through kind of different kind of studying pathways. And yeah, opportunities for work experience in creative health. So at 14, the idea that you could do some work experience that begins to cross into creative health and understand you know, all of the different opportunities within that would be great. I think that's everything, but I'm sure I've missed some stuff, so if anyone wants to chip in, please do.
I was just going to add to that. We're trying to connect some threads towards the end of our conversation when the room's closed. And what I was sort of seeing is that if we have this future where things are, you know, this kind of blue sky thinking, that where things are going well and everything is kind of ideal, the main things that we're kind of noticing is that first and foremost is that there are actual dedicated roles for this kind of future, and that people are aware of them. And there's also the funding to support them and the education to develop them. And also just the pathways into it, so that they see clear ways of getting into that. So I think some of the things that come of that as well is that there would be more awareness, not necessarily from the practitioners or the educators and that, but from the public, that these kind of roles exist, and that the health system is also prescribing these things. So they're, you know, saying, go to this organization that is established and does the advocacy and the management and the networking and the connection to these practitioners, and is actually getting prescribed more regularly. Because I think when you talk to most individuals, they don't even know that this is an option in terms of their health and development and recovery process, that it's beyond just sort of the standards of what we expect of the health system, so that there's that support from the health system as well. And then when it came to the students, I think we were just noticing too is that if this future does exist, there's less of a choice between a path of A and B. I either become a practitioner or I become an artist, but suddenly there's this path available to them where they can combine it, and it seems like a future. It seems like a career, and it seems like a possibility. They don't have to advocate so much for themselves or do it as a independent, that it's more kind of integrated into the system. So yeah, that's just kind of things
Thanks, Robert. That's yeah, that's really great. And what I'm going to do now is, I think I've captured everything. that's come back in the feedback. But what I'm doing now is I'm putting a Miro link into the chat, and what I would like you all to do is to go to this Miro board and either add anything that hasn't currently come up as an option as a post-it note, and as well on the options that are currently there, I'd like you to you'll be able to see on the post-it notes, you can add like a thumbs up or a heart or an emoji. Just vote for the ones that you feel are kind of most prevalent to you. So there's two things I want you to do. The first thing is vote on the options that are already there under the two questions by indicating with an emoji. I don't care what emoji it is, just not the aubergine, please. And yeah, and then if there's anything on those post-its that you think actually this hasn't been mentioned or I'd like to add this, can you do that as well and pop that on a post-it note and add it to that Miro board? And you've got 5 minutes to do that now. So yeah, I'd urge you all to pop on the link and yeah, populate the Miro board, please. Yeah, thanks, Joe. That's a good observation. Yeah. Definitely. I think what that speaks to there, Joe, your comment there about like the advocacy is about potentially having some skills-based training that's delivered perhaps by the creative and cultural practitioners to public health and healthcare colleagues that speaks of the value of creative health in a language that they understand. And Holly and I kind of touched on this in our one-on-one conversation about the kind of experiential and embodied learning, and about how bringing kind of people that maybe don't have a frame of reference for this work and delivering work to them so that they get an embodied reaction to it, perhaps is a way of navigating that kind of language barrier in terms of them not speaking the same language as us, and a potential solution maybe. I don't know if you want to add anything more to that, Joe or Holly, but yeah, that was one of the conversations that we were having.
Yeah, I think there's also a power challenge here, because the funders will have more power, and unfortunately, whether you like it or not, the science philosophy has greater power as well. So, you know, I would say it's something about trying to find allies within that science world who can help you work to translate this. You know, that for me is the way through. You know, allies that will help you, that sit in both camps maybe, who can help you translate that. You know, so if the funders are saying, I don't know, for example, you know, we need to see less people falling, for example, you might not be able to demonstrate that through your creative evaluation, but you might be able to link it and connect it. So yeah, I think it's allyship. It is the way forward for me. Yeah. Sorry. I'll stop talking and go onto your microboard.
Apparently the link's not working, so I'm just trying to I've just sent another team link, so to see if people can access via that. Yeah, that one works for you. Brilliant. So yeah, the second link in the chat then, please. My apologies. I mean, it could have been a whole lot worse. I was in a Teams meeting yesterday where they couldn't even, the Teams tech went glitchy and they couldn't even set up breakout rooms. So, you know, I'm breathing a sigh of relief that I've only had one tech or two tech issues now, but yeah.
Could you remind me what you want us to write about on the Miro?
Yeah, sure. So what I would like you to do is I think I've captured all the feedback from everybody on the post-it notes with the different options. So I'd like you to vote on like which options you feel are most valid by putting an emoji, not the aubergine though, by putting an emoji against them. And then if there's anything you feel that hasn't been put on the post-its as an option to add, you can add a blank post-it and just type in your thoughts. And if there's anything else that you want to talk about that maybe isn't directly related to skills and development, if you can put that on a separate post-it note away from those two and pop that somewhere else on the board as just general feedback. We did that in the last session. Some people were saying that certain people needed to be in the room and they felt that, you know, I could reach out and invite other people. So, and they referenced a few people specifically. So if you feel like there's anyone else that needs to be in this room and isn't, then please feel free to feedback on the post-it notes. But yeah, I can see you're all active. Brilliant, great. So whilst you're all busy doing that, I'll just tell you how this action learning set, how we move it forward. So one of the key principles about action learning is the opportunity for reflection. So what will happen is in a week's time, I will send you an email, and what I'll ask you to do is to email me back with any further thoughts around what you've had, what we've discussed today. Now, whilst I'm not expecting you to go out and do loads of work on this because you're all very busy people, I would just ask you that if you are in situations where you're having conversations with colleagues, that if there's an opportunity to ask your colleagues what sector training they feel they need and what career pathways they feel should be available within creative health, if there is an opportunity to do that, to take it. And then when I send the email in a week's time, to be able to reflect back to me maybe any further thoughts you've had on the conversation today, or any further conversations you've had with other colleagues about their thoughts and feelings on this. As I said, this is all going to be feeding into, I'm responsible for the workforce development stream for a Arts Council place-based partnership bid that we're currently building with the Norfolk and Suffolk Culture Board. And this work that we've done today will feed into elements of that. So I'm more than happy for you to have these conversations with colleagues in the wider system and feedback anything they say as well. It's not just going to sit here with me. This work will actually be built upon. So yeah, in a week's time, you'll receive an email from me. Obviously, if you've got nothing further to add, then you don't need to respond. But if you have had an opportunity to reflect and you've had any further thoughts, then I would welcome that. And the other thing to say is about the next CHIMe meeting, which will be on March the 18th from 10 till 11:30. Again, that one's going to be held online. And that one's going to take more of an open space format, where we're going to be talking about funding the creative health sector. So you will receive a link off the back of this meeting to sign up for the next meeting. But as I said, if there's anybody that you feel needs to be in these conversations and they're not, then please feel free to forward on the joining email and get them to sign up as well, because this whole point of this network is that we build partnerships across sectors. So if you've got healthcare colleagues, if you've got social care colleagues, public health colleagues that you think they really need to be part of these conversations, then please spread the word, because the way that this network becomes effective is by having like cross-sector representation. So I can see that you've all kind of stopped moving on your Miro board. So I'm hoping that everybody's had an opportunity to feedback. And I just kind of want to take this opportunity to thank you all for coming, and that you found the session useful and beneficial, and that you feel like your voice has been heard. And if anybody wants to come back to me privately, aside from this meeting, then you will have my email address. Feel free to pop me an email with any further thoughts or anything that you feel is relevant to this conversation and the wider conversation really about my role and what I'm trying to do here for Norfolk and Suffolk. Has anybody got anything further? We've got 2 minutes, so if you've got anything that you want to add to the room, feel free to do so now. Maybe pop up your hand. Daisy, I can see you put a question. Does anybody know any? Do you mean social prescribers? Yeah. I don't know
social
anyone.
prescribers. Yes,
Yeah.
social prescribers. Sorry.
If anybody does, then that would be really beneficial to get them in the room.
It seems like that was the sort of most recent push from the health service to kind of integrate arts activities in terms of for recovery and for physical and emotional health.
Yeah, I think in previous meetings, in the meeting that we had in December, we had quite a lot of health care the healthcare sector and public health were in the room as well, because we were discussing the legacy and learning from the Suffolk and North East Essex ICB. So I think that the emails, the email invite goes out to quite a few people. So I think it might be worth me potentially tapping some of those colleagues to see if I'm not aware of any social prescribers that are currently operating across Norfolk and Suffolk. I mean, I may be wrong, but I know that it's it has, you know, it's quite patchy in terms of it, how well it's working across the UK. But correct me if I'm wrong on that, anybody that's in the room. Yeah, Catherine, that's a good good point. Maybe speak to some of our council.
I mean, apparently you can find them like in every doctor's surgery and every citizens advice bureau, but I've never met one.
Yeah, I don't know how true that is, Daisy. Maybe I need to do some investigating on that. But I am mindful of time. We've now come to time, and I'd like to thank everybody for their input and feedback today. It is really valued, and I appreciate your presence in the room. And like I say, you will get an email from me in a week's time to feedback any further thoughts on today's discussion, and which will also have the link to sign up for the March meeting as well. So thank you, everybody, and I hope to see you at the next one. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you very much.